It's a real pain to water.
You can never have too much compost as high as 50 degrees Celsius.
Usually do it spring and fall.
And I can see good irrigation system in all your beds as well. When did you do it and how did you do it?
What I use is soaker hoses. So they're a porous hose, and when you hook the regular hose up to it, it seeps out, the water seeps out all along the hoses. And it works very well for the beds, particularly when you get a bed that's covered.
Yeah.
So for instance, when I plant the cabbages, I put the cover over top of the bed, and then it's a real pain to water. So being able to hook the hose in works really well. And I have those quick connectors, so I don't have to like screw every time. It just snaps together. And I have it in, there's still a couple of beds that I don't have.
But you want to have.
But every year I buy a couple more hoses.
So when you buy hoses, those already have those pores.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
they're actually,
regular,
yeah, and they seep all along the whole hose, not in specific places.
Okay. And you did it by yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, because the hoses are just, like if I...
Where did you get it from?
Apache seeds.
Local?
But yes, local.
Okay.
I suspect most of the greenhouses have them, but I got these at Apache.
Okay.
So in the winter, I drain them and I coil them up and I just put them in the shed.
Yeah.
So that's why this one is still zip tied.
And we can cut them accordingly to our needs, the length.
You probably could. I haven't. I've just bought shorter lengths for the smaller beds. So this is
You don't need to.
yeah, this is 24 feet or
Okay.
25 feet. I have also 75 and a 50, I think. So it just depends on how long the bed is. I have one bed that's 25 feet, so it needs.
So you have the regular hose from tap to your bed, and then inside you get this one.
Right.
That's how you connect it. Okay.
And I use this when it's drier. I have rain barrels, and so I try to water from the rain barrels as much as I can. So that means basically watering cans and walking back and forth a lot. But rainwater is better than, and of course cheaper than tap water.
So how many rain barrels you have?
I have two.
2 rain barrels are good enough for your garden?
No, I run out, especially if it gets dry. But it's what I have space for.
Yeah. So you don't have direct connection from your rain barrel to your beds. You just use watering can, and that works for you.
Yeah.
Gives you some steps as well.
Yeah, that's right.
I do that as well sometimes. I don't have rain barrels yet. That is my this year's project. But I fill the bins, big drums, right beside the garden, because I think sometimes with the hose it wastes a lot of water if I don't have the irrigation system. So that's why I just fill my watering can and then do it.
The nice thing about these hoses too is that you can put mulch on top of them, and then it helps with evaporation.
Yes.
So I use a lot of leaves for mulch, because they break down nicely in the garden, and I don't usually have enough of my own leaves, so in the fall I collect leaves from the neighbors.
Yeah, from the yard pickup list, from everywhere. I do that too. So leaves retain the water and eventually decompose into the bed itself. These are very good for your
very
bed.
very good for the soil.
For the soil. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so Jane, we have talked about your seedlings, your other plants, peanuts and kale, etc. And once you have transplanted, you need a good soil, and I'm sure you must be composting as well.
Oh yes, I love my compost.
Yeah, do you want to show us your
Yes.
compost?
Let's look at the compost.
Let's go there. Wow, that's pretty big system of composting. 3 compartments.
You can never have too much compost.
So yeah, this bin is the new bin. So everything that goes in here is the fresh. So I put in kitchen scraps, plants, leaves. I always have a couple of bags of leaves that I can use for the browns in the compost. And then a couple of times a year I turn it from this bin into the middle bin where it can finish composting. And then, so what's in here now? This is the compost from last fall.
Wow, it's already looking so good.
Well, a lot of it's pot, some of it's potting soil too. That's why it has like the vermiculite and stuff.
Yeah, but it's still.
But it's still pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
So I have a sieve here, and I will sieve it into,
Okay.
I'm using the sieve.
So how do you use it? This is little big. Just put it
Yeah,
here
I
and
just
then
move it over like this.
you have
and then-
a functional system. Yeah, that's
so
good.
I put the compost, and then as soon as the compost, I'm storing junk in here too, but
I have that as well.
I'll move that.
Yeah.
But I have, I'll sieve the compost. You don't have to sieve it.
Yeah. Can
It's
we
just-
try this?
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, this is the compost, and yeah, here it goes. You can see that. Wow, I'm loving it.
So, and any of the big lumps like this string and everything
Right.
goes back in the first bin.
This is so easy.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah.
So,
I have to build this now.
Yeah.
Because I just have
well, you
separate
know,
bins.
I got the plans off the city's website,
Okay,
edmonton.ca/compost.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, it's a very well tested system,
Yeah.
and it works. I get some mice, but not too bad. Like,
Some mice.
yeah, I'm fairly careful
Yeah.
to use the browns, and if I put in something fresh, I'll cover it up. We have a lot of wildlife in the area, right? Because we're fairly close to the river valley,
Yeah.
so we have skunks,
Yeah.
and we have squirrels and rabbits, and porcupines and that kind of thing. So I am fairly careful about keeping the compost. I don't have a
Yeah.
lid for it
Yeah.
because I prefer that it gets rainwater to keep it from getting too dry.
Yeah.
But I mean that's the other reason for having a rain barrel right here is that if it is dry, I can just dip water out and add water.
So if you keep it wet, really good wet, wrung out sponge, then you don't get lot of mice.
Right.
When it's dry, right?
When it's dry, they love it.
Yeah, they love it. So even if you have an open compost and you just keep it wet, you will not have mice.
No.
That's great. Yeah, because a lot of people think because when it is, they want to keep it closed and they are afraid that they will get mice, and that's why they don't compost. So keep it wet and you will not get mice. That is awesome. Great tip. Yeah. Okay, so this is pretty big system. All your kitchen waste from the whole year comes in this?
I sometimes, if I have time, I'll go to this get city compost,
Okay.
particularly for the flower beds. But most of my compost,
Yeah.
this is it, and it's never ever enough.
Yeah. And it's never full, I guess, because it's pretty big, right? It's pretty big.
Yeah, and I mean it also sinks. Like this was probably full up to here earlier this week, and it's already down.
Already down.
So as it compresses in it,
And that's what I am observing in my compost as well. It's getting down quickly. So I can see these thermometers in your compost. What are they doing here?
they're telling me how hot the compost is getting. So this compost bin is not really working. It's just barely above freezing. It's about 15 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
This one, it only has 2 thermometers because there's nothing in the other bin. But at the moment it's about 20 degrees.
Okay. So what are you expecting it to be?
I've had it as high as 50 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
It depends on how much green you have in it and how long, if I turn it, it will go up.
Yeah.
So, and I do turn it, even just to stick a fork in it, and not even just one bin to the other, but even just to stick a fork in and try and get some air into it.
Yeah.
Because the air is really important as well, right? Greens, browns, water, air.
That's right.
Our mantra.
Yeah, that's right. Greens, browns you add, and then you add water, keep it wet, and you add
Turn it to
air,
air,
turning
yeah.
it. Yeah. So yeah, although you are aiming for 50 degrees Celsius, even though it doesn't go to that heat, still it keeps decomposing.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just a little bit
It's
slower.
slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have never had a thermometer in my compost. I got once, I bought once and I tried to insert in, and then after a few days I saw there was nothing happening, and I thought this is broken thermometer, it's not working. So I had to return it. I will try it again. It's a handy thing to know how much temperature is inside compost.
Yes.
Right?
It's fun too. Like,
It's fun.
I mean, I'm kind of a geek about my compost.
And yeah, something to boast about your compost. Yeah, my compost is heating up. It's 50. What is the maximum temperature it might go more
I
than
think
50?
the maximum I've ever had is about 50.
50 is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's actually steaming,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Do you know in India we get 50 just in atmosphere in summer,
Oh, yeah.
which is not good. So we cannot go outside in that temperature.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah. So yeah, this is your compost system and gives you a lot of compost for all your vegetable beds. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like I could use more compost. I could always use more compost, but
Yeah.
and honestly, my green bin is almost always empty. My food
Yeah.
scraps bin, because all it goes in there is like a little bit of meat,
Yeah.
and
Yes. Just the chicken or
Yeah.
just
Bones
meat
and-
bones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
so I hardly ever even put the darn thing out because there's nothing in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you only put greens in here, like your vegetable, fruit, peels, and any leftover food you have sometimes.
Depends on what it is. As long as there's no meat in it, or
You can
cheese or
put it,
dairy,
yeah.
like no oils, no meat, no dairy. Like I'll put leftover rice in if it's
Yeah.
not fit for eating.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. So yeah, leftover rice is also good for decomposition. I have heard, right? Rice, yeah.
and coffee grounds are fantastic. I used to have a deal with a local coffee shop where I would get all their leftover coffee grounds.
Yeah.
And holy cow, did that heat up the compost.
Oh,
That was terrific.
that's good amount of nitrogen,
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah. Yes. Do you also put some sort of buttermilk or yogurt items? No?
No. No.
You
again,
don't
those-
have it yet.
I always I always have yogurt.
Okay.
Not so much buttermilk,
Yeah.
but again, that's dairy, so I just
Yeah.
automatically don't put it in.
Yeah, I have heard some people just put a small amount of yogurt or buttermilk
For the bacteria, yeah.
Yeah, for the bacteria to speed up the process.
Right.
Yeah.
And that probably would work. I just wouldn't want to add too much
Yeah.
because it would get sticky.
Yeah, and if it is working anyway without it, so what's the need?
Yeah.
I always call my own composting system a lazy composting because I just keep adding kitchen waste and browns if I have, brown leaves, and then it just does its work. I add water only in summer. In winter, I keep collecting, just come outside from the deck and dump it. That's what I do.
No, I add all winter. We
Yeah.
have a bucket on the kitchen counter and we add to this all winter every time the bucket is full. And it freezes,
Yeah.
and then in the spring it thaws and it starts composting. So
Yeah, if you don't collect in winters, you will not have enough material, right? Just in summer months is not enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, although my compost bin gets full in winters, I keep extra bins, just to keep collecting, and then later on, because it shrinks, I add it to my main compost.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you, Jane, for showing us your compost system.
Yeah, and the movable slats for the front
Yeah.
makes it very easy to empty. So you just slide them in or out.
Yeah. See, all of these are movable, so you can just remove all of them and then harvest it.
Yeah. About twice a year, I turn the whole compost. So everything from once the finished bin is empty, I've put it all on my garden beds, spread it as much as I can, and then I take the middle bin and I put it into this bin, So it's basically finished. And I sieve it because it's
So my question to you, Jane, is how do you move from this bin to this one? Because I see these nets.
Just
you
with a
cannot just shift it.
pitchfork.
Pitchwork. Okay.
Yeah, just
Or maybe you can remove a little bit.
yeah, you can remove as many
more
of these as
these,
needed.
so that you can
right down,
easily,
right down to the bottom.
So we can move this over there, and then we can remove some of the logs. So we can remove. You can, you just showed us this, and then it's easy to access.
And then taking out the finished compost, usually just a shovel.
Yeah, just a shovel.
Moving from one bin to the other is usually a fork.
Yeah, but the main thing is all of these can be removed so that you can easily take it from
all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, all the way to the bottom.
And then once this middle bin is empty, everything from this bin goes into that bin.
Yeah.
And then turning it like that aerates it, which is good.
Yeah.
And then you have this sits for a few months. And then I usually do it spring and fall, but it varies. You know, I could do it, if things are really perking along, I could do it midsummer. Especially if we get like really hot weather. Sometimes it'll spark the compost to go faster.
So whenever you start adding new material to the first one, first you empty it and then only you start adding more.
Yeah.
Right? Because you must be adding here fresh material every day, even now.
Yeah.
So when will you move it?
I could move it tomorrow.
Anytime.
Really.
But then you leave the top of the fresher
No,
one.
usually I'll put that over
Everything?
too in the
Everything.
bottom because
Okay.
it will hold a bit of the moisture and a bit of the air.
Oh, I get it. So this kind of gives you a two compost bin, I mean two separate kind of bins, and this will keep cooking while you are adding to that one. You don't care about if it is half cooked or not. You just move everything.
Yeah. And if it that's the advantage of sieving.
Yes.
Is when I move it into the finished bin, then I can anything that's not broken down, like stuff like this straw, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But
This is good mulch.
sometimes sometimes there are big lumps of roots or something, and I just put them back into the other bin and it's fine.
Okay, so did you make it yourself? This
Yes.
bin? Okay.
Yeah, I made all of it.
Do you know people that might do it for anyone? Some
No.
people might be interested, no?
I've made 3 of these now. I made one for me,
Okay.
and then we had to have our water main
Okay.
fixed, and the bin had to be moved, and then it wouldn't fit when I needed to bring it back. So I donated that bin to a community garden and built a new bin that did fit. And then we started a new community garden in my community, and so we built a new bin for them, same system for the community garden.
So what kind of wood is this?
It's cedar.
Cedar, okay. So I was thinking it's just lumber and it will eventually decompose.
It will eventually, but it's cedar, so it
Cedar
lasts
is,
a bit longer.
it will last longer, but it's expensive then.
It is. It's expensive. I did also coat it with linseed oil,
Yeah.
just as a little extra.
Yeah, linseed oil. Yeah, okay.
But eventually it's going to break down.
Yeah, I made my vegetable beds with the cedar wood. Yeah, but I did not know about the linseed oil tip at that time. Maybe I will do it now.
Can't hurt.
Yeah. Okay. The system is really great. That's great. Has lot of capacity. Love Jane's passion for composting and gardening. It's a great reminder for all of us that great gardens start with great soil. A big thank you to Jane for opening up her backyard and sharing her wisdom with us. Thank you for watching and keep composting. We will see you in the next Garden Talk.